She called 911 over boxes. That's how this started. My wife was carrying 3 military containers into our new A-frame, and the HOA president marched up like a hall monitor, with a crown pointing to the lids and yelling about permits and protocols, and then a patrol car rolled up. The officer opened one case, and the whole driveway went quiet as he whispered almost like a secret ma'am. "Are you Delta? Yeah, that happened." And from that moment, the air in Cedar Hollow felt different, like the neighborhood finally realized the loudest person on the block might also be the most wrong. Cedar Hollow tries hard not to look like it's trying trimmed lawns, matching mailboxes, a jogging trail where the deer pretend they're not watching you. And we bought our little retreat at the edge of it because I needed a place where my mind could breathe, and my wife Maren needed quiet after a career that was anything but. So we pulled up at 8 a.m. I'm nursing bad coffee from a travel mug. She's moving those containers like they're suitcases. Minimal motion. No wasted energy, and in slides. Colleen Hart in a power suit, with a rule binder pressed to her chest like scripture. I'm president. Hart. Those containers require inspection. She snaps. Maren gives her the look. You give a mosquito near your sandwich and keeps working and the phones come out. Our neighbor Derek hovers like someone drafted to film against his will, and Colleen dials 911 loud enough for the cul-de-sac to hear. Suspicious containers as resident refusing security, she says, drawing out the word security like it's national, and a patrol car glides in. Sergeant Luis Alvarez steps out. Middle-aged, tired eyes, but kind, hears Colleen's speech, then asks to speak to my wife. She hands him her ID without a tremor. He runs it, something changes in his posture as dispatch answers, and he returns with that respectful softness veterans recognize in each other. Thank you for your service, he says. Quiet but firm. Colleen demands a search. He does it the right way. No probable cause to her then. To Maren, if you consent. It might end the circus, and Maren clicks open the first case. Inside is a museum in foam bronze star with that tiny V. Most folks don't notice Purple Heart. Reflecting the morning sun challenge. Coins stacked like poker chips in the second case. A black coin. Alvarez turns once, like it carries its own gravity. And in the third unit, photos and commendations with names blacked out, and locations the color of heat and dust. And Alvarez sets everything back with both hands. Careful, like placing a crown on a pillow. Authentic earned the hard way, he says to the cameras without raising his voice, and the crowd murmurs. Someone tells Colleen to apologize, but people like Colleen don't quit when they're wrong. They sharpen the spear. 3 days later, she packs the community center and runs a slideshow called Unvetted Military Risk in Residential Zones, yeah, that title. She brings a brother-in-law in an off-brand suit as her consultant, and a retired principal named Miss. Wilkins peels him apart with basic questions until the room starts to groan. Then Sergeant Alvarez stands from the back and says he lives in Cedar Hollow and has answered 10 calls from Colleen's address. In 4 months, none of them emergencies. We don't have a threat problem, he says, steady as a level. We have a harassment problem, and the board chair calls for a vote of no confidence. Right there, seconded before he finishes, and Colleen's face goes colder than the room's air conditioning as she hisses, I know things about all of you. Her eyes lock on Derek, and he flinches like somebody pulled a string. You could feel it shift after that meeting. Conversations clipped off when certain people walked by. Trash cans pulled in early side eyes, exchanged like currency. Our shed lock had a fresh scratch. The dirt by the fence looked scuffed. And Marin, who sees patterns, the way most people see colors, taps the mark, scans the fence line. Perimeter, she says, not asking. So that night, we install a visible camera for show and hidden ones. For the blind spots, and the very next afternoon, Derek shows up on our porch. In weather that doesn't justify the sweat on his forehead. "She's got something on me," he says, hands shaking, and he plays a clip from his own door, him picking up his kids 30 minutes early during his ex's weekend. Not a crime, not dangerous, just leverage in a custody fight. And every time he tried to push back, she reminded him she could send it to the lawyer. And as he talks, the folders start piling up. The teacher running a quiet daycare without a license. The couple who added a deck without a permit, the guy with the dog. Who wanders all small stuff, weaponized all compliance donations. All fear. Marin doesn't flinch. She's seen systems like this with fancier uniforms. Then we document everything she says. Voice low decisions. Landing like chess moves. If she escalates, we don't guess, we prove. At dawn. 2 days later, Derek calls voice thin but steady. Final foreclosure notice hit her mailbox 3 days. Or she's out 46. And change. And I'm not saying desperation is an excuse, but it's a blueprint for bad choices. And you could feel her gears grinding, a person who loved control. Now needing it. Then needing it to pay the mortgage. So we keep collecting Derek Records conversations where she hints about making an example. Marin sorts the evidence into neat packets. I draw a timeline, like it's a school project for a grade I need, and Derek does the bravest thing. He calls his ex across a line that's been tense for a long time and tells her the truth. "She's been blackmailing me," he says. And the ex who loves those kids more than she loves games says get a lawyer and protect the neighborhood. That's the twist most folks didn't see coming in our quiet little suburb. The HOA president who had everybody jump at her clipboard wasn't just bossy. She was building an empire of leverage, and it was cracking right under her feet. The last night before her deadline, our back camera picks up a figure in head-to-toe black, sliding along the fence at 11:43 p.m., the duffel bag heavy in her hand, and we watch on a tablet at the kitchen counter. That weird intimacy of seeing your own yard from the outside. The audio catches her whisper. Let's see how safe they look when the sheriff finds this, and she plants a bag of fireworks. I wouldn't let my worst enemy's teenager touch, plus something in a Ziploc that does not belong in a shed. She photographs her own placements like she's staging tomorrow's evidence, and my vision goes hot at the edges. I want to blow out the door and end it with my hands. Marin's palm lands on my shoulder like a weight and a warning. "Not our move," she says, eyes on the screen. And up the block. Derek, who can't sleep anymore, is already filming from his upstairs window as he dials. Alvarez burglary. In progress. Subject is Colleen Hart. She's planting items at the Cole residence, and 4 minutes later, a cruiser drifts to the curb. No siren, just practiced quiet, and Marin opens the door and hands Alvarez our tablet like a relay baton. He watches long enough to see the Ziploc and hear Colleen mutter about unstable military personnel, then walks to the shed with a flashlight and a voice that is done asking. "Ma'am, step out with your hands where I can see them." There's a click in some people's faces when the plan they built in their head meets the wall of what's real. Colleen freezes in the beam. Phone still in her hand. This isn't what it looks like. She starts, "I'm conducting a security check. They're dangerous, I'm gathering evidence," and Alvarez recites rights. She tried to staple to everyone else, cuffs her without roughness, not because she deserves gentle, but because he is who he is, and Cedar Hollow finally exhaled in the blue wash of the patrol lights. By morning, the line formed the quiet daycare teacher, with texts demanding monthly payments to avoid citations. The deck couple with emails promising a pass for a fee. 3 families with DMs where she threatened to bring in the state charges. Stacked like flyers on a corkboard, breaking and entering evidence. Tampering, filing false reports, extortion, possession of controlled substances with intent to distribute her. Her lawyer tried stress and foreclosure and community safety. But evidence doesn't care about speeches. The house hit the market with a bland photo and a price cut. 6 months later, she took a plea and 3 years, and I didn't feel triumphant. Just relief, the deep kind that makes your shoulders drop without asking. Cedar Hollow didn't turn into Mayberry. It did something better. It got honest. The board appointed Derek interim president, which would have sounded like a joke a month earlier, and he walked into the first meeting with his embarrassing clip queued up and said, into a shaky mic, "This is the leverage she used on me. No more secrets." And something broke in the room in a good way. People placed their small mistakes on the table like they were paying a community fine. For trust, the board made new rules. Fines require public votes. Complaints need real names. Cameras can watch homes. Not neighbors, and Maureen and I finally sat on the porch. The way we meant to on day 1, cooked something that didn't come in a box. Found the coffee filters. Her cases live in the den corner, now closed, but not hidden like an anchor that keeps us from drifting. And sometimes Alvarez cruises by. I give a small wave. He returns it, and that's enough. I keep one question parked in the back of my mind, though. If Marin hadn't been, would anyone have looked that hard or listened that long? Did the uniform force a respect that should be basic, or did it simply reveal the truth faster? You know what I mean? And when we talk about what to do with people like Colleen, is it always cuffs first, or does the conversation about mental health matter? Before the damage is done, I don't have neat answers. I have a driveway where a crowd learned that loud doesn't equal right, and that documentation beats gossip every single time. If this hit a nerve, tell me in the comments, were we right to press charges, or should we have pushed for a mental health route? First, are HOAs a guardrail or a power trap? Have you seen a veteran unfairly profiled, or seen a uniform used as a pass? Others don't get. Drop your take. Tell me where you're watching from. And if you've lived a version of this, share it, because the part that changed Cedar Hollow wasn't the arrest. It was a neighborhood finally choosing evidence over fear.